Oh, hello everyone, it's Susie here, Crypto Granny. The date's 23rd of February 2022 and the time in Melbourne time is 19:30 p.m. Sorry I'm a bit late today. I got talking to clients and the day just went, and it was such a beautiful day in Melbourne today. It was about 32 degrees, sunny, beautiful blue sky day, and I'm just loving this weather. I'm just saying this, guys, if you're in Europe and it's freezing, I'm just skirting about the weather because the weather's been absolutely fantastic since I've been back home, and I'm just absolutely loving it. So let's talk about the cryptocurrency markets. Let's look at the data. Let's look at stats. Let's look at the news, anything pertinent. We'll talk about fiat markets as well. We'll talk about a little bit of history, what happens to markets in wartime. And then we'll also look at, obviously, what's some of the events that are, making markets fall the way they are and so forth. So the first thing I want to say, guys and girls, and certainly my Patreon clients, please be careful with your crypto. You cannot be careful enough, seriously. There are so many pitfalls in crypto. There's so many hacks. There's so many risks. And you just have to have, care all the time, like we go through in terms of all the risk metrics with crypto. But not only that, please be careful. Don't tell people willy-nilly that you buy crypto or you hold crypto or anything else, okay? Because there was a man in Amsterdam yesterday that was in an Apple store at Liedersplein, one of the biggest Dutch Amsterdam Apple stores in the country, at Liedersplein, and he demanded 200 million euro in crypto after taking an Apple store employee and customer hostage for several hours. He was a young man, and he basically, was wearing camouflage gear with a gun. He said he also had, bombs on him and all this sort of thing, and basically held people for a couple of hours demanding crypto. And obviously the Dutch police responded accordingly. They had to use a robot to check to see if he had explosives, confirming that none were present. But the thing is, the suspect was, sending selfies of themselves and photos to some local publication, and appeared to be showing him wearing a bomb vest. So please do be careful. There are a lot of, even in Asia, people have been, hijacked for cryptocurrency. As cryptocurrency becomes more and more valuable, please don't tell anyone but your closest family or friends. Even people can, obviously talk. But, you put yourself in a risk. You really should have someone to back up your crypto keys, someone to back up your crypto passwords. If you're holding a lot of crypto, even have the passwords and everything else in a safety deposit box in the bank or other banks, and also have separate phones for your crypto vis-a-vis your normal phone. If you have all your authorized or your 2FA factors on the same phone, you lose your phone, then you're done for as well. So there's so many different things, but please be careful of your own personal security. That's the first thing I will say. Now, also, let's look at the market at the moment. We've got market cap at 1.76 trillion. Volume's 52 bill. It's quite low. Liquidity's at 5 bill. Bitcoin dominance is 41.23%. Bitcoin, as we speak, is 38,426. Ethereum is 2697. Bananas is 377. XRP is 73 cents, and ADA is 89 cents. When we look at the overview, there was 95% gains today, vis-a-vis 5% losers. Bitcoin on a 24-hour clock was 36,839, bounced to 38,420. The low was 36,783, and now, as I said before, it's at 38,426. Now, what I want to talk about is basically, even though there's wars in markets and, 7-Eleven and all sorts of things, markets always perform very well during wars and, after wars, okay? So generally before the war, like I said, markets are fearful and they oversell the markets like they always do, right? They always oversell the markets with fear. And then during the war, markets do incredibly well, and after wars, okay? So we'll go through some stats to show that to you. And I just want you to be aware of that, because like everything, markets are fearful and they always oversell. And this is a great time to buy cheap cryptocurrencies. Now, as you know, according to CoinMarketCap, there's 17,790 cryptocurrencies, coins and tokens. We only buy probably maximum 60 or maximum 30 different industry sectors, okay? So the ones we buy, we know everything about fundamentally as well as technically, as well as we do valuations for them and everything else, okay? And honestly, We believe in the story, definitely. I've been looking at these things for 7 years or more. I know how to value them. And honestly, they're the best crypto in the market. And seriously, I have no problem with believing crypto is going to be a lot higher than where it is today. Much, much higher, because there's not a lot of supply on the exchanges and there's not a lot of supply of coins of specific crypto. So I have no problem with that. And I do believe this market will be a lot higher in a year or a couple of years' time, okay? Notwithstanding that, we even saw another 80 million flows into Bitcoin funds despite the conflict in Russia, but also we found negative funds in Ethereum. Now, Ethereum, as you know, been a lot of negative press about Ethereum recently, and I do believe Ethereum is overvalued. I've always said that. Binance or XRP should be in second in place, not Ethereum. Now, during the last couple of months, particularly, we've seen nothing but massive liquidations by traders. They've been liquidated all literally, whether they're short or whether they're long or whatever, right? They've just been absolutely smashed. Last night they were short and they got liquidated again today because the market's starting to rally. Another 34,000 traders got burnt again across 41 million Bitcoin, 32 million Ethereum, Luna 4 million, Gala 2, XRP 2.8, down to Satoshi Vision 1000 or whatever, 1.15, right? It just goes on and on and on. If we look at the sectors that did well, all sectors did well, but the one that was a standout, the only one that was down was cannabis by 0.04 and charity at 0.46, but the one that was a standout was debit cards, deflationary coins, fan tokens, gambling and gaming, and lending and borrowing, okay? In the debit cards, we saw Swipe in there, Uquid Coin, Platinum Coin, Amon, Fuse, and Pace, and we look at them according to sector. If we look at the futures, we do find that futures are actually lower than the physical coin of Bitcoin and Ethereum. That tells me something about the market, okay? Bitcoin physical is at 38426, and yet futures are 38026, right? So they're actually selling, the market players are selling futures, right, in Bitcoin. And it's a dangerous game to play because most of the participants have been short, right? And I think there's a real risk of a short covering rally. Ethereum is 2897. If you look at the futures on Ethereum, it's not as bad as Bitcoin, right, which is at least $400 lower. Futures on Ethereum is 2688. So all the shorting is on Bitcoin, and they'll be wrong because, as you know, there's only a total supply on Bitcoin of 21 million and already 18.9 of that's been mined. And, there's probably $1 million lost, okay, as well. If you look at the option positions, 456 million still short on with puts on Bitcoin. They've bought puts, I can only imagine. And Ethereum, it's 124 million. Vis-a-vis calls of 55. And Bitcoin, 456 puts, again, 80 million of calls, right? There will be a squeeze on this. If you look at Bitcoin technically, a big level on Bitcoin, seriously, is 36250 on the quarterlies. Another level is 38124. And then the 200-day moving average is around 4,500. Now, I believe this, again, looks like a descending wedge, and it looks very good to me, and I think it's going to start moving up again. War, when you think about war, it means more stimulus, more printing, no rate hikes, because they will have to change, the Fed will have to change their attitude about rate hikes if we've got this Russian-Ukraine crisis getting any worse, right? It certainly makes the Fed less hawkish, right? And the policymakers have to consider potentially fiscal stimulus of some sort or whatever, right? We know that Russia is moving forward with plans to regulate cryptocurrency in the country, but, again, that they're toing and froing whether they're going to allow anyone to do it or just themselves. But certainly this Russian-Ukraine war is not great, for anyone, but generally in war times, okay, the market does very well. The risk markets, okay, and I know that sounds strange, but leading into the risk market war, risk markets do badly, into war, and then once war starts, risk markets come roaring back. Vladimir Putin declared that Ukraine regions of Luhansk and Donetsk independent entities, they've reportedly moved troops into those areas, and they're calling it peacekeeping missions, which we know is a load of balderdash. President Biden announced this is just garbology. We need to really pressure Russia not to go any further with international violations of law. If it's the beginning of Russia invading the Ukraine, clearly they're going to get more and more, condemnation from international law. And, what is it, about the oligarchs, invading the Ukraine, right? Also, NATO, is on the eastern flank bordering Russia. Again, we don't know where this is going to go. But, again, markets always overreact to the downside. And this is what I keep saying to you guys. If you look at Investopedia and look at the wars, right, and I can talk about a lot of situations. Pearl Harbor, 1944. The 7th of 12th, 1944, the S&P was down 3.8%. Total drawdown was 19%. The bottom was 133, and the days to recovery were 307. If we go to the US terrorist attacks, the 11th and 9th, 2001, and I remember this was a shocking day, terrible day, where the planes went into those Twin Towers. It was just horrendous. The market was down 4.9%. This is the S&P 500. The total drawdown was 11.6%. The bottom was 11 days, and the days to recovery were 31. It came roaring back, okay? Now, if you look at this Wikipedia thing, there's probably about probably about 22 different instances, whether it be the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Kennedy assassination, the Suez Canal, the North Korea invade South Korea, the Iraqi invasion of the Kuwait, Madrid bombing, London subway bombing, Saudi Aramco drone strike, bombing of Syria, the Iranian general killed in airstrike. On average, the average move for the market down is about 1.2%. On average, total drawdown is about 5%. The bottom is within 22 days, and days to recovery is 47. Now, that's an average, okay? So sometimes, it can be more than that, but that is an average. And that tells you that in war, and when war comes, markets bounce back with a passion and a vengeance. And I do believe the cryptocurrency market will bounce back with a passion and a vengeance, okay? Because people always overreact too much to the downside, okay? They always sell too much. And, this is what it's the old saying in markets, up by the stairs, down over the cliff by the escalator, down the lift, so to speak, right? So, we have to keep a clear head and look at value. And there's some incredible value in this cryptocurrency market at the moment, people. If you're not a client of mine, seriously, you should be, because the value at the moment is incredible, right? Cheap, cheap, cheap. Some of these cryptocurrencies have been around for 7, 8, 9, 10 years, right? There's less risk in them today, and yet they're cheaper today than they were, 3 or 4 years ago, right? Less risk. They're not startup. They are operating businesses with perpetuity, continuity, with plenty of clients, right? Plenty of network activity, plenty of addresses, plenty of fees, generating profitable businesses, okay? Where the supply of the underlying coin is very limited. To me, it is a no-brainer, people, a no-brainer. Now, let's talk about Ripple and the SEC, which is getting very, very, everyone's getting so fed up with this. But there's a lot of people out there, including myself, that the SEC hasn't got a leg to stand on. They don't know what the frig they are talking about. We're talking about Ripple Net, whatever you want to call it, their technology, and XRP, and not once has the SEC ever talked about Ripple's technology, cryptocurrency technology, and cryptography. This is technology. The coin sits on top of it, right? If you use XRP, it becomes even cheaper. Foreign currency overflows and off-border payments or whatever, right? It is technology that is first rate, that is going to propel us into the next world of technology and Web3, okay? Decentralization, right? Amazing, amazing security. But you know what? The SEC are too stupid to realize that it's technology which is just unbelievable, which can take us in, to artificial intelligence, all sorts of things, right? They haven't got a friggin' clue. I got to tell you that, right? And seriously, they just haven't got a leg to stand on. I got to tell you that. Now, there's been, other SEC people, a guy called Joseph Hall, another fellow, And they've all expressed the same story. They do not believe the SEC will win. And I've never thought that ever, because there's nowhere they even talk about this new incredible technology. And if you understand the technology of cryptocurrencies, specific cryptocurrencies, it is mind-blowing, people, mind-blowing. And if you don't understand it, you need to become a client. It is unbelievable. And if the younger generation doesn't get to know this stuff, they are seriously, seriously behind the curve. And if you don't get to know this stuff, and I'm in my 50s and you don't know this stuff, you're seriously behind the curve. I'm not kidding. It is unbelievable, right? As far as I'm concerned, the Howey test should not even apply because it's not relevant. The Howey's test was done in 1946 and it doesn't even talk about technology. It ain't relevant, people. It's not relevant. And these guys, the SEC, will lose. And they're just looking like a bunch of dickheads with egg on their face. I've got to tell you that. They really are looking like a bunch of idiots, right? Fair income, and they're just not equipped to understand cryptocurrency technology. You know, fair income, I don't know what they're trying to prove here. Anyway, so let's get on with the rest of this stuff, guys and girls. We have a lot to talk about today. El Salvador has seen tourism increase by well over 30% since they started using Bitcoin illegal tender. And also, you know, they're going to have a bond issue with Bitcoin in March, and I should imagine that should do very, very well indeed. Terra says it raised $1 billion in a private Luna token sale, did very, very well indeed, and that's good for them. You know, it was supported by Three Arrows Capital and Jump Crypto. We always see the same people, you know, supporting crypto, and they continue to buy and buy and buy. The Ontario Securities Commission has reported Kraken CEO Jesse Powell and Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong to law enforcement agencies for voicing their opinion against the Canadian Government Emergency Act. Give me a break. Can't anyone have an opinion these days? Are we talking about, you know, being in a fascist country like Nazi Germany? I mean, these guys are entitled to have an opinion, surely. Kazakh Ministry of Energy discovered and shut down 13 illegal crypto mining farms in the country, simply because it costs them a fortune with power, and it's stopping power to just local people and all this sort of stuff, okay? A United Kingdom-based commercial law firm called Gunnar Cook has become the latest practice to accept cryptocurrency payments for services, as you know, for services of law and clients, and that's great for them. And you've got, you know, Deutsche Bank coming out now with a report on the futures of cryptocurrencies. Incredible, right? They're all the big banks are getting on. 2 years ago, they didn't know anything about crypto, okay? You know, don't forget, people, 200 million people are invested in crypto in the world out of 7.9 billion people. Only 200 million. It is not too late to get into crypto, right? Not too late, honestly. And honestly, it's, you know, it's incredible technology if you understand it, right? If you understand it, that's for sure. There was a story about Tether. The company had $78 billion in Tether, and the assets have been shown as a breakdown: $24 billion in commercial paper, certificates of deposit, $4.1 billion in cash and bank deposits, $3 billion in money market funds, and $34.5 billion in treasury bills. So they're in A1 and A2 commercial paper, which is not, it is US dollars, but you still have credit risk to where you're lending the money out to, in terms of, you know, in terms of a corporate, right? So the fact is they do have credit risk, and it's not entirely exactly US dollars one for one, because they have credit risk to a corporate. If that corporate couldn't pay back the commercial paper, then they have massive credit risk of 21%, right? Crypto finance service provider Amber's landed a valuation of $3 billion following a funding round led by Singapore state-owned investment firm Temasek Holdings. Now, Temasek Holdings is a sovereign wealth fund. It's huge. And even those guys are in crypto funding and investments, right, for Series B and Series A funding. Also, other participants, which we've spoken about, is Sequoia. They're always there. Pantera Capital's always there. Tiger Global Management, Coinbase is all there. Even FTX half the time is always there. It's always the same people. I'm very sorry, everyone, for cutting that off. I know you're really enjoying it, but it does take me a long time in a day to do these podcasts for my clients. And I'd very much appreciate if you became one of my Patreon clients. If you'd like to go to Patreon and call up Crypto Granny, my subscriptions are there. We do a vast amount of work in a day to keep up with the cryptocurrency market in terms of research, in terms of modelling, valuation models, trading bots, all sorts of things. We look at the fiat market as well. We look at the overall position in the market, leverage, who's got what, who's buying what, all sorts of things. We do a lot of work, and I'd very, very much love it if you did support us in this business, and please support us by being a subscriber on my Patreon. Thank you very much.